Hi. Um, I want to go over your next assignment, which is a common sizing assignment. And this is your first high point assignment. This is worth 100 points or 10% of your grade. So this is an important assignment, and it's a really important assignment in terms of what I'm hoping you'll learn in this course, because it really will get you to dig into some financial statements and maybe learn something from them, and certainly learn how to analyze them. So I'm going to be using a lot of the things we've talked about so far in the course, especially this week, but also in other areas. And I'm putting this assignment at the beginning of your week because it's due at the end of the week, and I don't want you to leave it until Sunday night because you'll never get it done properly. So this is going to take some time. This is a significant assignment, so please allocate some time to do it right. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be preparing a common size statement for Kirby, who you've already looked at their 10Ks, and for Matson, which you haven't looked at, Matson being a maritime transportation company, primarily on the west coast of the U.S. And you're going to be common sizing their balance sheets and income statements, and then using those common size statements to provide an analysis of what's going on within the companies. So I want you to look at 4 years of balance sheet data at least, and 5 years of operating results, so that you can do trend analysis over a period of time, which will help you understand better how the companies are performing. So you're going to do trend analysis. You're also going to do an analysis of the position at the time of the year end, that we're the most recent year end, and you're also going to compare the numbers to the other company that you're analyzing. So you're looking at Matson and Kirby. You're going to analyze them individually, but then you're also going to compare Matson with Kirby, and you're going to use that information to come up with a conclusion, which will be supported by your data. You're going to see what the differences are, see if you can figure out why those differences exist. Is it because of choices by the company as to how they've structured their finances, or is it because they're in totally different businesses, or their business models are different? They're using owned equipment instead of leased equipment, or all sorts of different things that companies can do to serve their markets. And I want a professional analysis. So this is an analysis that you'd be comfortable taking to your company's board and saying, yeah, I've analyzed our company and I've analyzed our major competitor, and here's what I found. Or to an investment board, I've analyzed these two companies and I think that company X is doing a much better job and has much better prospects for the future. Either one of those things. So when you submit your information, you want to include your numerical analyses and a written explanation of your findings. I want you to submit it using Excel. So the written information, the verbal information, will have to be put into Excel in text boxes so it gets formatted properly. And you can use charts and graphs if you choose. Excel is really good at that. So if you want to insert some charts and graphs to explain your conclusions, that's okay. And I want the Excel sheet that you submit to be formatted so that it could be printed out. You're submitting it electronically to me, but a lot of times when you do this kind of thing in a corporate environment, you need to print it out and distribute it in a conference room, or distribute it to a group of people. So you need to format it so that it works. And a lot of people, when they do Excel, they don't think about that, and you end up with these things that you'd need a 30-inch sheet of paper because the number of columns is so wide that you can't possibly read it. So you got to format it so it can be read and printed. That's important, because this is part of this is about learning how to do this so that you can do it in your corporate environment. So I've attached a rubric so you can look at the rubric to see how it's going to be graded. It is worth 10% of your grade. And read through this assignment. Make sure you understand. If you have any questions, please shoot me an email and I'll be happy to respond. But I am going to go now to the SEC site and show you some shortcuts so that you can do common sizing more quickly than you might think is possible. So let's go to the SEC site. I have Matson open on the SEC site. So this is Matson. MATX is their code. And if you'll notice, I have, oh, wait a minute. Let's go back. Let's see if I can go back. Yeah. So let's go back here. So I've got a 10K, and you went to documents before when you were doing Kirby, but you can go to interactive data here. And it brings up this sheet, and then you can download all of the interactive data in an Excel document, which I just did, and it dropped it down on the bottom of my page here, and I can open it. And let's see, there it is. Okay, so now we're here, and I'm going to enable it to be edited so that we can mess with it. And we're there. And we're going to go to the consolidated balance sheet here. This was the income statement here. This is the balance sheet. So here's the balance sheet. Looks like any other balance sheet you've looked at. You've looked at bunches of them by now. And it shows you 17 and 16. So for this project, you're going to have to get 15 and 14 by going back in the SEC site and pulling up 15's year end and getting 15 and 14. Get them on the same sheet. Because you need 4 years to do a reasonable analysis. But as far as common sizing, remember common sizing is each item on the balance sheet divided by total assets. So I'm just going to insert a column here. So now I've put a column after 17, and I can now common size. So what this column is going to equal is this. Cash is that divided by total assets, which are there. And there's two different ways to do that, but we're just going to do it this way, 2247.50. And then I'm going to change this column to percentages with 2 decimal places. And cash is 0.88% of total assets. And if I take this and drag it down to there, I have just common sized the asset portion of Matson's balance sheet. Everything's done. Boom. You can get rid of this here because that's just a header column. And I have now common sized the assets for Matson. Pretty easy, right? So I can do that for 16, I can do it for 15, I can also do liabilities and equity, also divided by assets. Really, really easy. So the common sizing thing takes minutes. You probably common size both these companies for the entire project that you have. I could probably do it in less than 20 minutes. You haven't done it before, so it might take you a little longer, but not a big deal. Once you've done this for all the years, you may well want to hide this. Well, first of all, let's put this put that there so we know what we're looking at. And then you might want to hide this. You can do that by just hiding it. It's still there, you just can't see it. And if you do all of your years just by percentages, it gets a lot easier to look at than looking at the dollars and the percentages. And then when you're going to compare to Kirby, who's a different size company, all you're looking at is percentages. You're not trying to compare different levels of dollars. So, easy to do. The other thing you may find, and I noted this when I was looking at their income statement, the income statement doesn't have very much detail in it. This is the income statement. So it shows ocean transportation revenue, logistics revenue, total revenue. It shows operating costs. It shows equity coming from this terminal joint venture, which they explain in the notes, and selling general middle, total expenses, operating income, interest, income taxes, net income. So It's a segmented statement like we've looked at before, but there's not much information here. If you go back to the SEC site and go to the regular rather than the interactive data tab, the documents tab, you can go into the notes to financial statements and get detail about operating expenses, get detail and see if there's anything there that is of note that you need to know about. So if you see a big change in percentages here, maybe you need to go and look at what's driving that in the notes. So you're going to have to kind of go back and forth between this Excel sheet and maybe the more detail that's in the document statement. I believe Kirby's is a more detailed statement in their Excel format, so you may not have to do as much of it with Kirby as you have to do with Matson. Then the other thing you're going to try to do is get Matson and Kirby into a format that looks the same, and their income statement and balance sheet won't be exactly the same. It's pretty much the same format, but not exactly the same. So you may want to do some stuff to mess around with the two statements so you get them looking, so you can compare apples to apples. You can compare, let's say, property and equipment net, 51% of their assets are in property and equipment. Maybe, and I don't know this to be true, but maybe Kirby has their property and equipment broken into 2 or 3 accounts. You might want to consolidate them into one account on Kirby so that you can compare Matson and Kirby's property and equipment investment relative to their overall investment. So that's kind of just a quick tutorial on how to do this. This is going to take some time for you. This is a significant assignment, so please allocate the time to it, and good luck. If you have any questions, shoot me an email and I'll try to answer it. Thank you very much.